What's going on, everybody? It's Emcees back again for another week of football reviews. I'm your host, Young and You, with my boy Hamilton James, and with us this week is my boy Jack Strouse. Jack, how are we doing today, man?
We're doing great. We're doing
Welcome,
great. Getting
welcome.
ready to talk some football.
Yes, sir. We're glad to have you on with us this week, and ready to get started. And we got some interesting topics this week. Is it week 14 already? Like,
I believe
dang.
so.
13
Yeah.
or 14, but yeah, it's crazy. So the Cowboys on Sunday night beat the Eagles by a couple scores, and Dak continues to ball out. And Hamilton, let's start with you on this one because I know you are so fond of the Cowboys. Any of the biggest takeaways you saw in this game?
The biggest takeaway, we got to take the Cowboys seriously. That was the biggest takeaway I saw from this game. The Cowboys, obviously, you guys been watching. They've been beating up on weaker teams, inferior teams. Dak Prescott's been looking good against them, but we wanted to see what they would do against some big dogs. The Seattle game, that was a great start, even though Seattle's been kind of sliding. That was a good game. And coming up against the Eagles team. Now, granted, the Eagles have been playing a lot of good teams lately, and I think they're just a little exhausted. Dallas came in a home and defended, home court, home field, and did their thing. 33-13. Dak had 271, two TDs if I'm not mistaken. The offense is gelling. Everything's. I would say the defense came out and they did their thing, smacked the Eagles in their mouth, and the Eagles just didn't respond. I think we have to really take the Cowboys seriously. They're probably, especially with Detroit slipping, I would have to say it's just the 49ers and the Cowboys right now for the top dogs in the NFC. And kudos, I give credit where credit is due. Jack is looking really good. On the flip side, my bad, real quick.
You're good.
On the flip side to that, the Eagles lost. The Eagles defense sucks this year. I don't know what happened to their defense. I don't know if it's just the coordinator, a change in coordinator got them all in disarray, but the Eagles defense is really trash this year. And it's starting to show. If we're expecting the Eagles to be this high-powered offense, I don't know if they're that. I don't know. I don't know if Jalen Hurts is completely healthy. He's not running the ball as much as to my liking personally, and it remains to be seen. I know the Eagles have been playing a lot of good teams, and they really only lost to the 49ers and the Cowboys. They got smacked, but they did beat the Bills. They did beat the Chiefs. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to hold off. I'm not going to say the Eagles have fallen off, but I will say that they've taken maybe half a step back to where I got to say right now the top dogs in the NFC are the 49ers and the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's valid, man. Yeah, this last game, I think the Eagles had like 3 turnovers, like fairly early in the game too, and that's something that really determines the game momentum
in the Cowboys' territory.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. So I don't know. It looked like Eagles had trouble moving the ball. Some parts of that game too. I just feel like it wasn't as dominant. It's not as dominant as an Eagles team as compared to last year. And I definitely was proven wrong with the Cowboys, how dangerous the Cowboys can be with their given their easy schedule the rest of the year. So they've definitely proven some people wrong, including myself. Jack, you got anything to say about this matchup?
Yeah, I think I got an opposite opinion than Hamilton. I think this game should be a wash for the Eagles. I mean, they had 3 lost fumbles. A lot of them were in Dallas's territory.
Mm-hmm.
This game, too, you look at Jalen Hurts, before this game, is having an MVP caliber season. And the last 2 weeks, he's struggled a little bit. I don't think he's healthy. I think his knee is banged up, and he's not running the ball effectively. He only had 5 rushes for 30 yards last game.
I agree.
And you don't see him extending the plays and making these big downfield throws that we saw, for the last 2 years.
Yep.
A lot of offense runs through him and extending those plays and finding A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith down the field for those 30, 40-yard gains. Those are game-changing plays because they flip the momentum and it gets their offense rolling too, and it gets the defense thinking about the quarterback run. Now, where the Eagles have been lacking, specifically in the last 2 weeks, DeAndre Swift is not getting enough carries, and they're not establishing a run game. So
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift has
11
he had
carries for 39
points.
yards.
Yeah, he had 39 points last week. And then the week before, let me see, when you were playing the 49ers.
He got hurt that game, though.
Ish. Yeah, he went for 6 rushes, 13 yards. So he hasn't even been doing much of anything, and they haven't established a ground game, which is putting all this pressure on Jalen Hurts to go and make a bunch of plays with his feet and throwing the ball downfield to A.J. Brown. But when a defense doesn't have to worry about the rush, they can just sit in too high and, really just key on the passing plays.
Jack, do you think that's indicative of the offensive line for the Eagles not being probably as superior as it was last year? Or do you think they're just not running the ball enough?
I think if you watch the beginning of their games, specifically against the Chiefs, and the play calling is the play calling, but specifically against the Chiefs and then again against the Cowboys, what happens on the first drive? Jalen Hurts, he's dropping back 3 plays in a row, trying to go deep, trying to make big passing plays. So the script isn't really there to establish this run game because I think they're trying to rely on this A.J. Brown being so dominant all year and Jalen Hurts being able to push the ball down the field. But I think they need to get back to the basics. When you have that run game like you had at the beginning of the season, it makes it a lot harder on the defense. They got to play some single high, and they got to leave Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown in single coverage, and those guys are really hard to cover. So I think that's been an issue, and, 100%. I mean, the Cowboys played a great game, and that Cowboys defense was dominant. Now, they did win by 20 points, but at the same time, I felt that the Eagles were really just like one play away at certain points in that game where they could really just get back.
A couple explosive plays. I'm not saying that the Eagles are like done. I've been hearing, the Eagles are washed, they're done. They've only lost 3 games, and they lost 2 games back to back against great opponents. And what about the wins against the Bills, the win against the Chiefs? Right. So I'm not saying the Eagles are done by any stretch of the imagination, but I will say, based on what you said about them not running the ball enough, the defense not being the elite defense that we know it to be from last season, and then the lack of the explosive plays. That's why I just said maybe they're like a half a step back from the 49ers and from the Cowboys right now, where it's Brock Purdy and Dak are making those type of plays, and Jalen Hurts isn't right now. So that's my only thing. But I would say if it's like 1, 2, they're like 2B. Like I wouldn't even say 3.
Exactly.
What I mean?
Yeah. And I don't want to take away from Dak Prescott either. I mean, I think the guy's having basically an MVP caliber year. He's right up there. And if he continues this path, he might very well be the MVP. But at the same time, in the back of my head, I've seen Dak Prescott blow it in too many big games.
Oh, for sure.
To where it's hard for me to buy into it, even though he is playing great and he might probably be the MVP. How many times we've seen Aaron Rodgers win the MVP and then go and lose in the first game of the playoffs?
Or not make a play that he should have made to extend his playoff run. No,
exactly.
I absolutely agree with you on that, Jack. I think that we're past the point of judging Dak Prescott by what he does in the regular season, because we know, August, September through December, he's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
It's what are you going to do in January, bro? At the very least, it can't be his fault. Like the last couple of years was like it was on him, like not having the time down, and Like, what are you going to do when the chips are on the line and it really matters? And I know we're going to get into it. Actually, I'll save my MVP talks until we get into that segment. But I agree with you on that. I'm tired of judging Dak, especially. I don't know what Jerry Jones got going on with Roger Goodell. I don't know if he's throwing some money in his pocket. But, man, the Cowboys schedule, I swear, for the last 3-4 years, it's been really easy, man. It's been so easy.
Well, part of that, too, is their division, though. So when you get to play the Commanders,
the Giants,
for 4 of your games.
Yeah, that part.
The quarter of your season.
You're going to win 3 or 4 games automatic out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost a gimme game too at the beginning of the season. They played the Cardinals and lost against the Cardinals.
Yeah, that's right.
People forget about that one,
and
they've moved past that.
The Eagles did beat the Cowboys. You know what I'm saying? It's not like the Cowboys just came and smacked them and that's all we have to hold on. No, the Eagles played them at home and won that game. So like, you know, I don't know. I've been hearing the narratives and people. I got Cowboys fans, you know, all in my ear. I'm like, all right,
all day,
bro.
Oh,
like,
man.
chill, y'all lost to this team too a couple weeks ago. Humble yourselves. So.
Yeah, exactly.
But Dak Prescott is playing good football, so I'll give him that.
Hell yeah. Well, these are both. I think we can both agree these are both really good teams and definitely most likely making playoffs. So they're going to be very exciting to see for the rest of the season, and it's good to see a change of pace in the Cowboys as far as like facing tougher opponents. So I think that's pretty interesting to see. Moving on to another NFC loss, important one, is the Lions lost to the Bears by a couple scores as well. Lions have been like the last 4 games are 1-3 since like Thanksgiving, and 2 of those are divisional. And like they went from 2nd seed to 3rd seed, I believe. And they have not been playing well, man. They've been playing a lot of catch up, and as far as winning and staying in the game. And Jack, I don't know if you saw any of that game with the Lions and Bears, but Jared Goff with, I think it was like 160, 170 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown had like 3 catches for 20. Do you think the Lions are pretenders, Jack?
I think the biggest issue with that team, and people can agree or disagree, is the quarterback play, Jared Goff. He's a roller coaster ride as a QB. We've seen it. We have a large sample size of this too. It's not like I'm just saying this out of nowhere. Jared Goff is a guy that's going to play very good and very bad, up and down. In this particular game, he didn't play his best football. And the Lions are a team, they have the most explosive plays in the NFL. They got the most 25-plus yard plays in the entire league this season. So they got a lot of big explosive plays. We didn't see those a lot on Sunday. And also, they're not a team that plays well from behind. Just because their way of football, the way that they win games, is they dictate that ground game. And they give the ball to Montgomery and Gibbs, and they run it down people's throat, and they play good defense. I think the Bears are sneaky good. They had that one touchdown to DJ Moore. That was the guy jumped off sides, and DJ Moore was wide open. That one was just kind of like a gimme score. I think it was for like 40 or 50 yards. That one was like one of those plays that it kind of changes up the entire, outlook of the game. But in general, I mean, that was just not the Lions type of football that they want to play. And I think we've seen that a couple times to where if the Lions get down early, they're not in a good position. I mean, we saw them earlier in the year get down super big to the Ravens. And they just let that game get away from them.
Yeah, I remember they got smacked.
They never got close.
Yeah, I think it's gonna end up hurting them probably in the playoffs if they have to rely on Jared Goff to win them a game, and that's my opinion on that. I think Justin Fields played probably about as great as Justin Fields could play too.
Oh yeah.
When he doesn't turn the ball over, he's okay. He's a pretty good quarterback.
When his offensive line actually protects him, and he has time to do something.
I mean, we might have different opinions on Justin Fields. I think he makes a couple too many poor decisions for my liking, but yeah, he played good football and he protected the ball. And a lot of times that's all you got to do to win the game is just protect the ball and make sure that your team is in a position to win when that final whistle blows.
Yeah, and Jared Goff is also infamous for not being good on the road too, so that also explains that. I remember seeing Fields play the last few games. He's just running. They're letting him run more, which is good. He's always another explosive player, scrambler, and Yeah, it's definitely important to not turn the ball over because I remember last year that was a problem.